The fastest growing food on the planet is not wheat, it is not corn, it is not soy. It is a tiny floating plant smaller than a grain of rice that doubles its biomass every 16 hours. It produces more protein per acre than any terrestrial crop. It requires no soil, no fertilizer, no pesticides. It grows on stagnant water that farmers consider worthless. Yet the agricultural establishment calls it a weed. This is not an accident. This is a deliberate choice to ignore the most efficient photosynthetic organism ever documented. Wolfia globosa, the smallest flowering plant in existence, has been feeding civilizations for thousands of years. But you will not find it in any supermarket. You will not see it promoted by seed corporations. The reason is simple. It cannot be patented. It cannot be controlled. It grows too fast and costs nothing. The industrial food system does not want solutions. It wants dependency. Duckweed represents the opposite of everything modern agriculture stands for. The numbers are staggering. Wolfia globosa contains 40% protein by dry weight. That is more than soybeans. It is more than beef. It provides all 9 essential amino acids. It delivers beta-carotene levels that rival carrots. The omega-3 fatty acid content approaches that of fish oil. Yet this microscopic marvel has been systematically excluded from Western diets. The botanical structure defies conventional farming logic. No roots, no stems, no leaves in the traditional sense, just pure photosynthetic efficiency. Each microscopic frond measures less than 1 millimeter. They float on the surface like green dust. But beneath that humble appearance lies a biological engine of breathtaking power. A single duckweed colony can produce 200 tons of protein per hectare annually. Industrial soy struggles to reach 4 tons. The efficiency gap is not marginal, it is revolutionary. But revolution is exactly what the system fears most. In Southeast Asia, duckweed has fed millions for centuries. Thai farmers call it kai nam, meaning water eggs. They harvest it daily from rice paddies. In Laos and Myanmar, it appears in traditional soups and salads. Ancient Chinese medical texts document its use as food and medicine. The Romans knew about lemna species and recorded their nutritional value. But this knowledge never reached industrial agriculture. Why? Because duckweed cannot be mechanized the way wheat can. It cannot be stored for years like dried corn. It requires local cultivation and fresh consumption. These qualities made it irrelevant to an economic system built on shelf life and centralized distribution. The food corporations chose convenience over nutrition. They selected crops that could survive shipping containers, not crops that could feed humanity efficiently. Duckweed became a casualty of logistics, not biology. Modern agriculture claims to feed the world, but the math reveals a darker story. Industrial farming dedicates millions of acres to animal feed crops. Soy and corn are grown to produce protein inefficiently through livestock. The conversion ratio is catastrophic. It takes 7 kilograms of plant protein to produce 1 kilogram of beef protein. Meanwhile, duckweed produces complete protein directly, with no conversion loss. It grows on water surfaces that cannot support traditional crops. It thrives in tropical heat and temperate ponds alike. The energy input is sunlight. The infrastructure cost is negligible. A small pond can feed a family indefinitely. But this terrifies agribusiness. An independent food source cannot generate quarterly profits. A crop that grows without inputs cannot be monetized through supply chains. Duckweed is not ignored because it fails. It is ignored because it succeeds too well in ways the system cannot exploit. The doubling time is the key to understanding duckweed's revolutionary potential. Every 16 to 48 hours, depending on conditions, the entire biomass doubles. This is exponential growth in its purest form. Start with 1 gram, and within 2 weeks, you have kilograms. Within a month, you have enough to feed livestock or supplement human diets. No other food source approaches this speed. Rice takes 4 months. Wheat takes 6. Even the fastest-growing vegetables need weeks. Duckweed operates on a different timescale entirely. The biological mechanism is elegant. Each frond produces daughter fronds through vegetative budding. No pollination, no germination delay, just continuous replication. The plant dedicates nearly all its energy to growth rather than structural support. There are no woody stems to build, no deep roots to extend. Every calorie of photosynthesis translates directly into edible biomass. Nature designed the perfect protein factory. Humanity decided to call it a weed. The protein quality rivals animal sources. Lysine, methionine, tryptophan, all present in optimal ratios. Digestibility approaches 90%. The amino acid profile supports human growth and repair without supplementation. But the benefits extend beyond protein. Duckweed contains significant vitamin A, delivered as beta-carotene. Vitamin B12 appears naturally in some species through bacterial symbiosis. Iron content surpasses spinach. The mineral profile includes calcium, phosphorus, potassium. And unlike livestock, duckweed produces these nutrients without generating methane, without consuming fresh water excessively, without requiring antibiotics. The environmental footprint is negligible. A duckweed pond uses 1% of the water required for equivalent beef production. It emits no greenhouse gases. It requires no deforestation. Every metric that matters tells the same story. This is the future of sustainable nutrition. But sustainable nutrition does not serve the industrial complex. It disrupts it. The word weed is not botanical. It is economic. A weed is any plant growing where corporations prefer it, does not. Duckweed grows spontaneously in farm ponds and irrigation channels. It appears without being planted or purchased. This makes it worthless to seed companies. Its rapid growth makes it impossible to patent effectively. Genetic modification offers no advantage when the wild type already doubles in 2 days. So the establishment discourages its use. Agricultural extension programs classify it as a nuisance. Pond management guides recommend removing it. The narrative focuses on oxygen depletion concerns, ignoring the fact that managed harvest prevents any issues. The real problem is not biological, it is financial. Duckweed represents decentralized food production. It puts protein cultivation in the hands of individuals. It breaks the dependency chain that feeds corporate profits. A farmer with a pond needs nothing from the agricultural supply industry. No seeds to buy, no chemicals to apply, just sunlight and water. This is unacceptable. The cultivation method is almost absurdly simple. Take any container that holds water, a bucket, a kiddie pool, an old bathtub. Fill it with dechlorinated water. Add a small amount of organic fertilizer or compost tea. Introduce starter duckweed from a pond or online source. Place in sunlight. Wait. Within days, the surface turns green. Within 2 weeks, you're harvesting. Scoop the excess daily, leaving enough to maintain the colony. Rinse the harvest. Feed it to chickens, fish, or yourself. The taste is mild, slightly grassy, reminiscent of fresh spinach. It can be added to smoothies, soups, stir-fries. Dried duckweed becomes a protein powder. The process requires no expertise, no special equipment, no ongoing costs. A 10-gallon container can produce 200 grams of fresh duckweed weekly. That is 50 grams of pure protein, for free, forever. This is not theoretical. This is operational. But do not expect government grants or university research to validate it. Institutions serve industries. The flavor profile depends on the growing conditions. Clean water produces a clean, neutral taste. Nutrient-rich water intensifies the green vegetal notes. Some describe it as resembling watercress or young lettuce. The texture is delicate, almost gelatinous when fresh. When dried and powdered, it behaves like spirulina or chlorella, adding a subtle earthy depth to smoothies and baked goods. In Southeast Asian cuisine, fresh duckweed appears in spicy salads, balanced with lime, chili, and fish sauce. It absorbs flavors readily, making it versatile. But taste is secondary to the philosophical significance. Every gram of duckweed you cultivate is a gram of protein that bypasses the industrial food chain. It is nourishment that requires no transportation, no processing, no middlemen. It is food sovereignty in its most literal form. The act of growing duckweed becomes an act of rebellion. You are reclaiming control over the most fundamental human need. The system depends on your dependence. Duckweed offers independence. Imagine a world where protein scarcity is obsolete, where every village has communal duckweed ponds, where malnutrition is addressed not through food aid shipments, but through local cultivation of the most efficient crop on Earth. This is not utopian fantasy. The biology works, the economics work. The only barrier is institutional resistance. In developing regions, duckweed could revolutionize nutrition without infrastructure investment. No tractors needed, no irrigation systems, no supply chains, just ponds and sunlight. In developed nations, it could dramatically reduce the environmental cost of protein production. Livestock operations could integrate duckweed cultivation, slashing feed costs while improving sustainability metrics. Urban food production could be transformed. Rooftop pools, basement containers. Every household a protein farm. The technology exists. The organism exists. The knowledge exists. What does not exist is the political will to decentralize food power. Corporations cannot monopolize what grows freely. Governments cannot control what requires no regulation. Duckweed is dangerous precisely because it works too well. The revolution does not start with protests. It starts with biology. It starts when enough people realize they can grow protein faster than the system can suppress the information. Every pond is a declaration of independence. Every harvest is a middle finger to industrial agriculture. The establishment has spent decades convincing us that food production is complicated, that it requires experts and corporations and technology. Duckweed proves that is a lie. Food production can be simple, fast, and accessible. It can happen in backyards and balconies. It can bypass every institution designed to extract profit from human hunger. This is not about replacing all agriculture. It is about providing an alternative, an option, a backup plan. When the supply chains fail, when the supermarkets empty, when the industrial system shows its fragility, duckweed will still be doubling every 2 days. Silent, efficient, unstoppable. The smallest flowering plant in the world is also the most revolutionary, not because it can change the world, but because it already has the power to do so, and always did. We just forgot to look down at the surface of the water. Start today. Find a container, fill it with water, introduce duckweed, watch it grow, share the knowledge. This is not about likes or subscribers. This is about reclaiming what was stolen, the right to feed yourself without permission, the smallest plant, the fastest revolution,